Hey everybody, it's Mr. Greg here from the Kindergarten Smorgasbord, back for another fun evening of submissions for Smorgie Live. So thanks to everybody who's joining us tonight, and I know a lot of you have started back to school this week, so I want to say I hope you've had a great week back, and for those of you who have been in school for a while like me, I hope your school year is off to a great start. For those of you who are still on summer break, I hope you're enjoying the last little bit of your summer break. So let's take care of some housekeeping things quickly. Tonight we are once again sponsored by our friends at ESGI. And so they're giving away a one-year subscription to ESGI, which is an online assessment tool. It's a one-on-one assessment tool. It makes assessing super easy. And a matter of fact, we're halfway through our ABC boot camp today. And so I was able to pull all of my kindergartners and reassess their letters and sounds today, did it in just a few minutes. And now I've got up-to-date data showing the progress that we've made since we started boot camp, showing some of the letters that we're a little weak on that I can focus on in centers and small groups. What I love about ESGI is that it's super simple. It works on a computer or an iPad. So you can assess kids on the fly and get instant data that can help drive your instruction and help you target your students where they might need some extra help. So you can go over to the blog, thekindergartensmorgasbord.com, and you will see the Rafflecopter. If you don't see it, you might actually see a link that says enter the giveaway. Just click that link and it will take you to enter. And so you just have to put in your name and email. You do have to be present in the live chat to win. So make sure that you stick with us for the entire hour to see if you're a winner. Also tonight, we are sponsored by my TBFF, Jenny from Jen Hart Design, and she is giving away 2 custom teacher emojis. So she will get some information from you, and then she will create a custom teacher emoji of you. So you will have a cute little teacher emoji of yourself to use however you would like. So make sure to head over to Teachers Pay Teachers and visit Jenny at Jen Hart Design. And stop by the blog, get entered for our giveaways. And as always, a huge thank you to our sponsors, ESGI, who is with us every month. And I know they're live in the chat tonight. So everybody can say hi to Kristen from ESGI.
Melinda's here too.
And Melinda. Hey, Melinda. So Melinda's there too. And thank you to Jenny for also sponsoring tonight. And if you would like to sign up for ESGI and check out the 60-day free trial, you can go to the website, esgisoftware.com, and get signed up for a 60-day free trial. Use the code SMORGIE, SMORGIE, and that will give you your 60-day free trial, and it will save you $40 off of the subscription price at the end of your 60-day free trial. So with that being said, make sure you get in for the giveaway. We've got some great prizes, and I think we'll get started answering some questions.
Hi, I'm here.
Get
questions together. Get that going here. You started talking about ESGI. People started asking about it. Megan wondered if you can retest. Can you see the previous assessment data in ESGI?
Yes, it shows you the history, so you can see the growth on the graph, and it will also show you like test 1, test 2, test 3, so you can go back and look at the testing. And actually, when you go into to assess again, you can either pick to assess all of the items again or just the items that they missed. So you have some choice there when you reassess.
Do you know how many students you can have in a class on ESGI?
I don't.
I think we answered that last month.
Yeah, Melinda and Kristen are here, so I know they can tell you the answer to that.
Okay. Yeah, like Colleen says, she has 50 students each day. She doesn't know how to do that many students. Yeah. Okay, Melinda's answering them. So if you'll just watch in the chat, Melinda, if you don't mind going back and answering some of those ESGI questions, that would be awesome that we don't know the answer to. Oh, she's answering them. Yay, go Melinda, go. All right, so let's get to some questions here. Sarah would love to hear a little bit about your classroom management system.
So I get asked about classroom management a lot. I don't have a system. We do use a clip chart, which I just introduced to my class yesterday, and it's going great. The kids have really gotten into the clip chart. And I know clip charts, there are strong feelings on both sides. And as with any classroom management system or tool that you use, it can be used in a negative way. It can be used to shame kids. It's all in how we as the teacher approach our classroom management. And it's all about how we handle and implement the classroom management. So I do use the clip chart. I use it to focus on the positive. So very rarely do I have kids who have to clip down. The kids are responsible for moving their clips because it's their behavior. So they have to be responsible for that. Just as at the end of the day, when it's time to color their behavior calendars, they're responsible for that because it's their behavior. So they need to communicate that to mom and dad. The basis of classroom management, and I say this a lot, is relationships. If there's not a relationship with your students, nothing else is going to happen. So build the relationships, set the expectations, and set those expectations extremely high, because if we set our expectations up here, that's where they're going to go. If we set them down here, that's where they're going to go. So set those expectations, put the procedures and routines into place, practice, 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 practice. Model it, practice it, practice it, practice it. And this is also something that I've gotten to be really big on. Do not let them do it wrong. If you're walking down the hallway and they're not in line like you want them to be, stop and fix it and practice. If they don't line up to go to lunch the right way, sit down, talk about it, do it again. Don't let them do it wrong at all, because then they're automatically training themselves to do it wrong. So make sure they're doing it like you want them to, like they've been trained and taught. Reinforce that and really set those expectations high. My kids know.
Hey, Greg, everybody has lost video, including me.
I have no idea why.
Yeah, it's just showing your picture. That's what everybody's saying. Even ESGI is saying they don't see you.
I have video. All right, guys, hold on. Let's see if we can figure this out.
There, you're back.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
Oh, now you're gone. Now you're back.
Okay, I think we're good. I don't know what's happening. Oh, technology, isn't it great? Okay, so anyway, set the expectations. Don't let them do things wrong, and don't slack on that. So don't be afraid to stop and practice and redo it and get them to do it right. So really, I don't have a system. It's really about the expectations, the procedures, and the routines. And my kids, we talk a lot all day about being the best that we can be. And so that really helps, because they strive to be the best and to make me happy.
You want to show people what that is? Everybody can hear it.
Oh, sorry. So let's talk about ABC Bootcamp. And so part of ABC Bootcamp are the circle maps that we do. And so I've always struggled with drawing the perfect circle. And so I was using a lanyard. My friend Leah showed us how to use a lanyard. But the problem with the lanyard is that it always wants to wrap around itself, and then I get all wiggly, and the circle's lopsided and not perfect, and it was bothering me. So we asked the question on Facebook if anybody had any good ideas for drawing perfect circles. And so my friend Ashton, who I used to work with at a daycare, who does a lot of art, came up with this idea and shared this with me. And so the mister actually made this. So you take a paint stick from Lowe's, and down here in the handle, you put a hole, and this is the anchor. So this is where like you would put a pencil or something to hold the stick. And then you put other holes through here, and that's how you decide how big the circle is. So you would put a pencil in it, and you could just go around, and you would make your perfect circle. And so the mister made this earlier this week, and he actually tested it out, and he said it was great and worked perfectly.
So you don't have to worry about the holes lining up perfectly. I wondered about that after I did it. So I went and tried it, and it worked just fine without the holes being lined up. So just drill you some holes in there and go for it. Don't worry about them being perfect and evenly spaced and all that. It doesn't matter.
So really, this would be a small circle, and then of course this would be a giant circle. Yeah, so there you go. So there's a great tip for drawing perfect circles for your circle maps for ABC Bootcamp and Number Bootcamp.
I'll take it.
He took my toy.
It's very loud when it rubs your hands. All right. Next question from Jennifer. How do you hold children accountable during center time, making sure they're on task, not fooling around, etc.?
Part of that is that my classroom is set up so that I can see everything that's happening. So even when I'm in my small groups, everybody is visible to me. And so again, it goes back to that expectation and that they're expected to be doing what they want to do. A lot of choice is built into our center, so they have the freedom to pick what they want to do, which gives them buy-in. And because they're getting to choose to do what they want, they're going to be more engaged. There's also, in all of the centers that I create, there are recording sheets. And so that's also another accountability piece. So I can check those, I can look at those and see that the kids are doing what they're supposed to do. And if they're not, if I see that you're not on task during centers, I might give you one warning. Then if I catch it again, or if I see it again, you get to stop, you get to put up your fun center or hippopotamus, and you get a piece of paper and a pencil, and you have to write. So you might write letters early in the year, sight words, numbers. So they're still learning, there's still academics involved, but they've lost the choice and they've lost the fun. And so that's the incentive for them to do what they want to do, which are the fun centers. So make sure you can see what all they're doing, set the expectations, and have a logical consequence so that if they're not on task, they don't get that fun choice. And give them lots of choices so they can do stuff that they want to do, which will keep them engaged.
Colleen says, during kindergarten student orientation, what do you have the students and their families do/make/take?
We actually don't have a kindergarten orientation. We have a meet the teacher night. And so the mistress set up a snack table. And so the parents just came in. I chatted with the parents, had them, gave them all of the forms that they needed to fill out for the beginning of the year, including the instructions to sign up for Remind. And I asked them all to sign up while they were there so I could get all of them signed up. I introduced myself to the kids. I let the kids explore the room a little bit, and that's it. And then this week we just had open house, very similar thing. The parents just come in. I chat with the parents a little bit about what we're doing, what the expectations are, give them any forms, additional forms that they need to fill out, and that's it. So for us, we don't have orientation. We just have those 2 nights. So they're very informal, just as kind of a way to make connections and get to see the kids and chat with the parents a little bit.
Betty wants to know how she should start ABC boot camp with a sub she has to miss on the first day.
I would honestly skip that day and start on the day that you were there, just because I think you want to start it off because it's important to kind of set the expectations in the process from day one. So I think it's very important that you be there on day one. So I would just delay the start of it by a day.
Laura says that she's taking the plunge and going with very few tables and desks.
Yay!
She's not sure where to put the student folders, snacks, etc. She doesn't want them to continually be going back and forth in the hallway. Any ideas?
So what we have in our classroom for our folders, our morning journals, our word study journals, is we just have baskets around the room. And so the kids eventually they will be trained to where, like, they're already trained where their morning journals go. So they know where that box is. So they know when they're done with their morning journal, it goes in that box. When we get to our word study journals, they'll know where that box is and they'll put them in that box. Same with the snacks. I would have a box for their snacks, and it would just be something that they put their snack in there and they're trained to go get it during snack time. So that's how we handle all of that stuff, along with the community supplies that we have. So there's just a box or a storage spot for everything, and the kids are just trained to get it when they need it.
Do all the teachers in your school go by their first name?
Nope, just me.
And you do that? Why?
Well, because back when we got married, it was a decision that to kind of head off any questions that might arise about why my name had changed. And so it was just kind of a preemptive decision that we made, and then it just stuck. And so now it's Mr. Greg.
Miss Wells wants to know if you ever send homework home with your students.
Nope. I used to do homework, and I would send it home every night, Monday through Thursday. And I was an advocate for it because I thought that it was building some responsibility and giving kids some experience with homework. But as I started reading some research and really getting into some of the articles and some of the research, it turns out that homework in kindergarten really has no benefit for the kids, even the responsibility part, because a lot of times we would find that, parents might be doing the homework or it's not getting done. And so we were putting a lot of pressure on kids and parents for very little to no benefit. So I went to my principal last February with some of the research, and we decided to do an experiment. So in February, I stopped doing homework for 2 months. And so we looked at the data to see if we noticed a negative impact or a positive impact. Either way, we didn't see an impact at all. Nobody's data suffered. Nobody stopped learning how to read. Nobody's jumped 4 levels of reading because of no homework. So he allowed me to continue to do no homework. And so I'm not sending home any homework. And the thing is, we work our kids so hard all day long. They need to go home and decompress and be kids. So I don't send homework. My kids are expected to read at home, practice sight words. And then the third thing I always tell them is to go home and play. So that's our homework.
Cindy says that she is on day 3 in kindergarten, and she has a class that interrupts and doesn't listen. They're unaffected by her chats with them. What tips do you have?
Again, it goes back to expectations, and it's still day 3, so it's a struggle at day 3. In our class we use the wireless doorbell, and so that's very effective in my classroom. So anytime I need them to get quiet or I want them to get quiet, I ring that doorbell and they have to stop, put their hands in the lap, put their bubbles in their mouth, and look at me. So you could try something like that. Maybe something that's an auditory cue that's not maybe your voice will help them. And again, you have to train them and set that procedure. There's also a great book, My Mouth is a Volcano, Lacey Walker, Nonstop Talker, Interrupting Chicken. Those are some great books to read to your class, and maybe those will help also facilitate some discussions. But I highly recommend the wireless doorbell. The having that noise, that chime gets their attention. So try that, and just remember it's day 3. Just keep pushing and talking and acknowledge those who are doing the right thing. And because anytime we acknowledge, oh, I see 3 people who are listening with their ears, 4 more people are going to get quiet and start listening. So acknowledge the positive and try a wireless doorbell or some kind of auditory chime that they can hear, and set that expectation that when you hear this chime, you have to be quiet and listen to me.
This kind of goes hand in hand with that. Jennifer said that she has a student that is constantly touching and messing with other students. She doesn't want him to feel secluded from the class, but he cannot keep his hands to himself. How would you advise seating him, or what would you recommend?
Again, like you said, you don't want him to be excluded, so you don't want to sit him off by himself. Maybe he always has to sit in front of you or next to you. So he's still a part of the group, but he's right there with you. So a lot of times being in proximity to us can help a lot. And again, just a lot of conversations about hands and what we do with our hands and where the hands go. So our expectation is that anytime we're on the carpet, our hands are in our lap. And so if your hands aren't in our lap, we don't continue. So definitely try keeping him with you at all times. Last year, even with flexible seating and no tables, no desks, I had a little girl during hippopotamus time, could not be off in the room by herself. So she had 2 choices when she was working independently. She was on this side of my table or this side of my table. So she was always right there with me. And that helped her a lot because it kind of gave her a little bit of that support where I could easily be like, hey, get to work. So try keeping him very close to you. Talk to mom and dad, maybe have the school counselor come in. And you can always kind of follow the responsive classroom timeout idea. And you can seat him by himself a little bit, but he still can see and hear and participate in everything that's going on. He just can't get his hands on anybody. So those are a couple of options. I would always start just putting him right there with me at all times and see if that helps.
What about like the wobble stools? Something like that.
Something like that would work. You could always try that. You can do wobble stools. My friend Debbie Clement has the wobble stools. You can look at her website, Rainbows Within Reach, and check out the wobble stools. You can also buy their little discs, and so they're about this big, and they've got some little things that stick up, and so the kids sit on those, and it kind of gives them a little bit of movement and a little bit of sensory experience. So maybe even something like that would work for him. So or that just gave me another idea. Give him something to hold on to. Give him a stress ball or something that he can put in his hands to keep his hands busy, so he's not free to touch everybody. So give him something to keep those hands busy.
Back to the homework question. Since you don't use homework, do you send home any type of family activities or projects instead?
We do some family home projects. So at the end of ABC boot camp, we'll do our fashion show. And so that's one of our first home projects. The kids take home a letter vest, and they have to decorate that vest at home with their parents. We do a couple of years, we've done the disguise a turkey. We've done disguise a snowman. So we do home projects. We don't do a lot of them. And I know some places, some schools and teachers will do them once a month, and I think that's great. But we do 4, 5, 6 a year. I just sent home our hopes and dreams letter. So at the beginning of the year, I ask the parents for their hopes and dreams for their kids. And then I create a puzzle with those. And so we have this puzzle displayed for the year. So, but like I said, the kids are expected to read and practice sight words. So every Thursday, I send home an emergent reader that we've read in class. And so they have to read that at home as well as practice their sight words. So there is a little bit of stuff for them to do, but it's not formal homework. But yeah, we do some home projects throughout the year.
If you haven't entered for the giveaway yet, please be sure to go to the kindergartensmorgasbord.com right now and do that. Click on the raffle copter. Very easy. You're just going to enter with your email address. So head over and do that now if you have not done so.
You could win 1 year of ESGI, which is a $200 value, or you could win one of 2 custom teacher emojis from Jen Hart Design, and Jenny will draw a really cute picture of you, and you'll have your own teacher emoji.
So I'm not sure. Jewett, Jewett says that she's trying alternative seating this year.
Yay!
How do you start it on the very first day?
So I just posted a video on my YouTube of the very first day of school. So I set the GoPro up and I just turned it on, and it recorded what it looks like in our class as the kids are arriving for the first day. So what I do for the first day, because we have no tables and no desks, and everything is done on the floor with our carpets, I have the carpets and clipboards already laid out for them on the first day. So as the kids arrive, I can just say, hey, in our class, we get to do everything on the floor. And so you can go find a carpet that you like, and you can sit down and start coloring. So that's how I do it on the first day. And then when it's time to clean up, that's when I start modeling and introducing the expectations and procedures for rolling the carpets, putting the carpets away, putting the clipboards away. So that's how I introduce it on the first day. So if you're providing lots of choices and options, you might start with a few of those on the first day, and then slowly introduce other choices and options in the flexible seating over the next few days or a couple of weeks. But if you're doing a bunch of options, if you have lots of choices for them, I would not have them all available on the first day, because that's going to be very overwhelming and that's going to be a lot to manage. I would start with a few options and then slowly start adding in more. But jump in on the first day, let them start making some choices, set the procedures and expectations for each of the choices, and then slowly start rolling out more options and choices. But I do want to say this about flexible seating. And this is something that I've seen a lot of on social media, and so I always feel like I need to address it. And I talked to my friend Kayla from Top Dog Teaching about this a lot, and something we always want to make sure that we address is that flexible seating isn't about the stuff. So it's not about having wobble stools and scoop chairs and yoga balls and standing tables and sitting tables. It's not about going out and spending a bunch of money and having a bunch of stuff. It's about giving the kids the choices of where they sit. And so that can be accomplished with everything you have in your classroom. It might just be no assigned seating, or you might get rid of a couple of tables. They might now have the choice to sit at a table or on the floor. So it's not about the stuff. It's about giving them the choice and the freedom and giving them the power to choose where they sit. And so always keep that in mind, that you don't have to have a lot of things to do flexible seating. You can just relinquish that control and give that power to your kids, and they get to make the choices of where they sit.
So Elena says that she has started flexible seating and it's going great, and she owes so much to you. But she has a question.
Okay.
How long do you give them to cut and color, talking about ABC boot camp, and in which order first? She said it takes her a while. And do you do a bill for finishing coloring?
We're halfway through, so we're at day 13 today, and our hats we're almost completely independent with the hats at this point. So I'm just showing them a model and they're coloring it. And now that some of our centers are already up and running, that helps speed that process up because they want to get the hats done to go to centers. But I usually, for the first 2 weeks, I was giving them 20 minutes. So that was 20 minutes to color and get the coloring done, and then to cut it. Of course, there was flexibility in there because it's the beginning of school and some of us are better with the scissors than others. So about 20 minutes, and it kind of depends on what your schedule looks like. So we always color first, then cut out. And so I think if you can easily set a realistic time limit and say you've got X amount of minutes to get it colored, and when the bell goes off, we're done coloring, we're going to cut it out. The first couple of days, you might have some friends who don't finish it, and that might not be okay with them, but we have to talk through that. But what you would find is over the next couple of days is that they're going to get a little faster and get that done. So you have to do what works for you. But because of now we're already into our centers, because the hat is kind of their ticket to centers, that really helps motivate them. And with the hats in ABC Boot Camp, they were created to be very, very simple. So they're not a lot of detailed coloring. So that helps too. So they're very kid friendly in that manner, and very teacher friendly because it helps make our job a little bit easier.
And I was actually in the class the other day observing on Monday.
Yep.
And one thing I noticed, we get a lot of questions on the blog, Facebook, just social media in general, about how long it takes to staple the sentence strips and do the hats. And I liked the way you were doing it in your classroom, because as they would finish it, they would bring their what they had completed, what they had colored and cut out. They brought the hat to you. You had the sentence strips. You would immediately put the sentence strip around their head, staple, and off they went. They were done.
Yep.
So stapling the sentence strip should be like a few seconds. Like that should take nothing. And when they were coloring and cutting the hats out, you were kind of letting them know, like, hey guys, you've got X amount of time left. You need to get this done. And if you saw somebody not working, you were immediately on them, like, hey, Jalen, you need to come on. You've only got 5 minutes left. Yeah. So it seemed like a pretty simple process to me.
And again, we're 13 days into it, so
right.
we've really built that procedure and that process up. And especially as you get more into it, it does become very quick. And what is always interesting to me and what always fascinates me is how quickly the kids pick up on measuring their own sentence strip. So several kids have already started coming to me with their sentence strip already measured for their head, because they were doing it every day and they're seeing me do it, and they've started doing it. And what is also the most fascinating to me is that it's never the kids that I would expect to be measuring their own sentence strip. It's always the ones who are kind of like the least, in my mind, are like the least likely ones to get to that point, but those are always the first ones to measure their own sentence strip. So it really does become a quick process. And I will also say, when the kids bring me their hat, they have to tell me what hat we made. So today was a mustache. And then I say, what sound? How do we spell M? So there's constant reinforcement of that letter and sound, even as we're completing the hats.
Where's the best place to get sentence strips?
Classroom Direct. is where I get my sentence strips and my chart paper. And so that's Classroom Direct. Chart paper is about $3 or $4, and sentence strips are about $3 for a pack of 100.
That's a website.
Yeah, classroomdirect.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You can use construction paper. You can also cut the sentence strips in half lengthwise to make it a little cheaper, but $3 or $4 for 100 sentence strips at Classroom Direct.
Jennifer wants to know if you use the HP Instant Ink program for printing your centers.
I don't, because we have a color laser printer. They don't have any laser printers with the Instant Ink. So my Instant Ink is, oh my God, we're out of ink. And I have to send this one over here to Office Max right down the road and gets my Instant Ink. I've heard great things about it. I've heard people love it. But I can't tell you anything about it.
Emily wants to know what does science and social studies look like in your classroom? And do you have a science experiment once a week?
We do Mad Science every Friday. We're actually doing our first one this Friday, so I'm super excited. So we do.
So you wait a few weeks before you start it. You don't start it right away.
I don't start the Mad Science experiments right away. So we'll be 3 weeks into this, our third week. So we'll have our first one on Friday, and it just worked out that we're doing dinosaurs. So we get to do a very simple baking soda volcano. So science and social studies are very integrated into our ELA block and our math block to some extent. So like right now we're learning about dinosaurs. So we're reading books about dinosaurs, and we're also getting some science in there as well. We'll do plants in the spring, and we read a lot about plants. We do a lot of ELA about plants, but we're also doing a ton of science. So our science and social studies are all integrated. So that's why people always ask, like on my year-long plan, they don't see science and social studies because it's so integrated into our ELA that that's where it just kind of naturally fits, and that's where it is. But every Friday we do the Mad Science experiments. So we're getting that hands-on experience, as well as learning the science vocabulary of a hypothesis and an experiment and an outcome. And we also cook or make some kind of snack every Friday, which is also a lot of social studies with some science as well.
Miss Smokey wants to know, how often do you do snack time throughout the day?
We do not. We don't have snack time at all during the day. Every Friday we cook and have a snack on Foodie Fun Friday, but as for the rest of the week, we don't. We have received a grant at our school, and eventually we'll start receiving fresh fruits and vegetables in the afternoon for a snack. And so that'll just, when that starts, we'll have that fresh fruit and vegetable snack every day. And it's just, I had that at my former school, and the way it worked was that when the snack was delivered, the kids just got the fruit and vegetable and went back to working in their centers and had their snack.
Michelle says that she has a student that will not talk at all, not even to other students. Do you have any suggestions? You have one that's similar to that.
I have a couple this year.
Language issues.
Yeah,
right?
I have this year. Right now I'm sitting at 17 students. One of those is a native English speaker. 3 are Arabic speakers. 1 is Burmese as her native language, and then the rest are Spanish speakers. So I have several who are very quiet. They will talk if prompted, and if I'm, if I look at them and I'm like, say the, I can get them to say the. So with one who won't, I say give them some time. Let them, continue to let them adjust, give them opportunity, make sure that they feel safe and comfortable, and when we're not pushing them to do something that makes them really uncomfortable. But at some point we are going to need them to speak, and that's what I keep saying to my kids is that you can listen and you can learn a lot, but I also need you to talk to me and talk to your friends, because that's another way that we learn. And so I say give her a little time, or give him a little bit of time to feel a little more safe and comfortable. Maybe, keep talking to the parents, maybe this counselor, if you need some extra support or ideas, but give them time. I had a little girl several years ago. She came to America on a Monday, was put in my classroom on Tuesday, and she didn't talk for 2 or 3 weeks. And like during morning meeting, I always gave her the opportunity when it was her turn, and she would always shake her head no. We were like, okay, moving on. And then she would play with the kids at recess, but she never spoke to them. And then I can still remember sitting in that morning meeting, and we were doing a word web about food, and her little hand shot up, and I said her name, and she said, apple. And like all the kids were like, oh my gosh, she's talking. And so she didn't talk again for several days, but then after several days, a couple more words. And so then it slowly started happening. And so just give them some space and make them feel comfortable, and it will eventually happen. If it doesn't, then of course we've got some bigger things we need to look at, and we have to get some other people involved.
What do you do when your students question accommodations? Julia says she has 2 who can't trace and need highlighting or hand over hand, but other students ask why they can't do less.
A couple of things. Number one, my always go-to is you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. And then I'm very honest with my kids, and I just let them know that everybody needs different things to learn. And so you need what you need, and I give you what you need. And your friend over here needs what they need, and I'm going to give them what they need. And what we all need isn't always the same thing. And I always talk about shoes. Like, well, would you want to wear, so-and-so's shoes, or would I want to wear your shoes on my big feet? And that they kind of get the shoe thing. And so, everybody has to have their own shoes, and everybody's shoes are different and they fit different. And you want the shoes that fit you. And so if I'm highlighting for somebody, that's kind of like their shoe, and they only need the shoe that fits them. And so when we kind of put it in that concrete real life kind of stuff, they kind of started to understand. And hey, everybody has to have their own thing to learn and be successful, and that's my job. And I tell my kids, my job is to give you everything that you need to be successful and to learn and to be ready for first grade. And so that's what I'm giving you. And everybody may not always get the same thing, because we all need different things to be successful. And here she is making her weekly cameo appearance. Everybody say hi to Lulu. Say hi, Lulu. Go lay down. Lay down. Thank you.
How do you create class rules? Do you make them, or do the students help create them? That question is from Colleen.
Hi, Colleen. So we actually have 5 classroom rules, and they actually come from whole brain teaching. If you're not familiar with whole brain teaching, definitely check it out. They have a great website with tons of resources. So we have 5 rules, and so they're just set in our classroom. Those are the 5 rules. Follow directions quickly. Rule number 2, raise your hand for permission to speak. Rule number 3, raise your hand for permission to get up. Rule number 4 is make smart choices. And the most important rule of all, which is my favorite rule, and it covers everything under the sun. Rule number 5 is make your dear teacher happy. And so those are our rules. And so those are just set by me at the beginning of the year, and the kids know that those are the rules. And we really focus on rules 4 and 5, because if you're making smart choices and if you're making me happy, everything else is pretty much covered.
Do you have a blog post on the Hopes and Dreams puzzle?
Yes, there is one. You can just type in Hopes and Dreams on the blog, and it will show up. And you can also get editable puzzle pieces, so you can type in the Hopes and Dreams.
Beverly Ann wants to know if you find it hard to have a student teacher at the beginning of the year. She always has hers in the spring.
Yeah, so this is a first for me. And so a couple years ago, I had a practicum student who came in once a week and did a little bit. But this is my first time having a student teacher. And so it's been very, very interesting. She is fantastic. She is doing a great job. We have meshed very well. We've connected very well. So it's been nice having an extra body at the beginning of the year. I don't feel as stressed a lot of times, especially those first couple of days when you're trying to get kids to work and paperwork and parents. So it's been very, very nice. So I did my student teaching at the beginning of the school year when I did my student teaching, and I'm so thankful. I actually scheduled my program that way because I wanted to be in a classroom on the first day of school to see what it was like. So I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's been great. It hasn't. It's hard to give up control and to turn over your classroom to someone, especially early in the year. but it's gone very well, and it's been a great experience for me as well.
Are the word study journals available on the website?
They're just composition books, and so when we do our word study, every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the kids have to write five words from their word study in their notebook, and so they just have composition books, and so those are their word study notebooks. There is a Write the Room book on Teachers Pay Teachers that you can use. I use it for dictionary skills, so I do have that, but the word study books are just their composition notebooks.
Okay, only 5 minutes left to register.
5 minutes. So head over to the kindergartensmorgasbord.com and click on the rafflecopter to get entered to win 1 year of ESGI or one of 2 teacher emojis from Genhart Design. So ESGI is an online assessment platform. It's done one-on-one with your students. It's all done on the computer. It's super easy. It's super fast. You get instant data. It makes assessing super duper easy. I swear by it. I've used it for years, so I highly recommend it. You can sign up for a 60-day free trial and use the code Smorgie, and that will save you, that'll get your 60-day free trial and save you $40 if you decide at the end of the 60 days to subscribe. And trust me, after using it for 60 days, you're gonna want it.
Do you incorporate shared reading?
Yes.
If so, what does it look like?
So our district is a balanced literacy district, so it's a mandate that we're all doing balanced literacy, and shared reading is very much a part of balanced literacy. So we do it quite a bit. And so we do our morning message, and so that's a lot of shared reading. We do an emergent reader every day. That's also shared reading. We do a poem every day, and that's also shared reading. We also do, I use my Letters Alive during ABC Boot Camp, and one of the things you can do with Letters Alive is for each animal, you can build a series of sentences. So today for M, we had a moose. And so you build the sentence and the words show up on the screen and it says, the moose can run. And so the kids actually are reading the sentence. So that's another way that we have shared reading. So emergent reader, a poem, and the morning message are the 3 big ways that we do shared reading. And sometimes with our big books, like we did Chicka Chicka Boom Boom. And so that was shared reading all week. We did our Chicka Chicka Boom Boom chart. And so that was some shared reading. And so we do shared reading every single day.
Do you do guided reading daily?
I do guided reading daily. We actually started our small groups this week. So they're not guided reading groups right now, but I am pulling groups and working on some skills and getting the kids used to leaving their hippopotamuses and coming to the table for small groups.
Do you do interactive charts during balanced literacy time?
Yes. So like last week we did Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, and so we had an interactive chart during Chicka Chicka Boom Boom where we were reading, and then I was changing out the letters, and so they were practicing. So we do a lot of that also during our balanced literacy framework.
What is your favorite fine motor activity to use at this time of year?
Clothespins.
From Eileen.
Clothespins, clothespins, clothespins. So a lot of the centers that I'm using have clothespins involved. And so that's one of my favorite things because it's building their hand strength. It's working on those fine motor skills, their hand-eye coordination. So anything with clothespins is great.
So speaking of centers, Jennifer wants to know how many students per center do you recommend? In New York City, a typical class size could have up to 33 kids.
In kindergarten? Oh, that stresses me out. I think it varies in every classroom, and it's what you're comfortable with. It's what your kids can manage. So the way that our centers are set up is the kids can work by themselves, or they can work with 2 or 3 other people. It's totally up to them. And that's, again, that choice that's built in, and having that choice helps with the engagement and the buy-in, which eliminates a lot of behavior issues. So I think it's totally up to you, and it's depending on how many centers you have and how many you can accommodate. I think 4 is probably the max. I think anything above 4 probably going to get a little unruly and turn into a house party. So, and there's nothing better than a 5-year-old house party at the Sight Word Center. So I always think 4, and I think back to when I taught 2nd grade, and I always limited it to 4, just because it was easier to manage and kept everybody on task.
Jennifer's actually in first grade with the 33,
But still.
she says kindergarten 25.
Still, that's too many. 25, 33. Oh. I have 17, and there are days that I feel like I'm totally outnumbered and have no control.
Deb Thomas just said she has 26 kindergarten kiddos in their brand new school, and they won't change the numbers.
Oh. Well, more power to y'all. Y'all have my utmost respect if you can do that many.
How many rotations do you have?
So for centers, I'm assuming
Yeah,
we don't rotate. So you can find more about this on the blog, but we use our center wheel. And so the kids have 2 choices every day. And within those 2 choices, there are a bunch more choices over here and a bunch more choices over here. So if you go to your tubs, you've got 9 tub choices. And then if you go to technology, you've got a bunch of technology choices. And so we don't rotate. So I don't spin the wheel every 15 minutes. I just spin the wheel once a day. So that eliminates that lost instructional time of cleaning up and transitioning and that stuff. So we don't rotate. I have 5 centers: tubs, write the room, reading or read to self, technology, and write the room. Math, I have math baskets, math the room, technology, and 10 frames and graphing. So no rotations, but lots of choices that are built in.
Do you do tubs to start the year? Tubs only?
Only. So yes. So we started tubs last week. And so that's how I introduced centers and hippopotamuses. We started with our tubs and we introduced those last week. This week I've started introducing Write the Room. And so yesterday I trained a group on Write the Room. Today I trained a group. Tomorrow I'll train another group on Write the Room. I have a feeling we're about to have a technical malfunction because Lulu's digging for toys by all the cords. So start with tubs, start with something very easy that you can really focus on procedures and routines, and then you can start training the other centers. So we've done tubs and Write the Room. We'll also do Read to Self next week. That's a very easy one. Technology and listening are last because those can be so tedious and difficult because of all the buttons and the different things. So by next week, we'll have 3 of our 5 literacy centers up and running.
How many days did it take for your kids to get used to using the wheel and finding where they go?
We haven't introduced the wheel yet. So we just started with tubs. They've been trained on their color. And so I have their names already color coded. So they figured that out. It took them about 3 days to get that. And then after I get the last, once I get Read to Self introduced, that will allow me to start using the wheel because it will cover all the choices. So next week will be week 3 of centers. So I'll start introducing the wheel next week. And usually it takes a couple of weeks for them to really get the idea of that wheel. Last year, it was October, and I still had a couple who were struggling with that. And not because they weren't getting it, it was more of a confidence issue for them and wanting me every day to tell them where to go or what to do. And so I'll start the wheel next week and we'll see how it goes. After a couple of weeks, pretty much everybody is good to go with the wheel and how it works. But again, I always tell people, look for the pumpkins. And when the pumpkins come in October, everything should be running fairly smoothly and everybody should be settled into all of the routines and procedures and expectations.
You do introduce your centers as whole group, correct?
Yes, and I actually have a video. We recorded a video of me introducing centers this year, and so I plan to post that tomorrow. But it's most of the activities are introduced either whole group or small group, and then they go into centers. And that's generally true for the first 9 weeks of school, but because all of my centers are created to be done the same, the process stays the same. All that changes with my centers are the skills and the clip art. And so after the first 9 weeks, I really don't have to teach a lot of the center activities because they're able to do them because it stays the same. And they also are able to ask their friends for help. And so the way we shift our centers from one group to the next, that allows the kids to help each other also. But at the beginning, it's whole group and small group stuff. And then because I'm creating them all the same throughout the rest of the year, it doesn't require a lot of reteaching. which saves a lot of time for us to keep doing our small groups and one-on-one, and frees us up to focus on some small group instruction, one-on-one instruction. Makes it a little bit easier for the teachers.
Lisa says, I love that. She shared it with her team today, and they loved it so much they wanted to kiss you. Oh, love it. Moving on to here's an interesting question. Christy wants to know how you get students to write or draw on the next page of their notebook rather than just some random page.
So I use binder clips, and so on their notebook, I binder clip. So if you're looking at the notebook, the binder clip is here on the side that has fewer pages, and I train them to grab that binder clip and flip it open, and then they can see, oh, if this one's written on, then I have to go to this one, and if this one's not written on, I train them to fold it back so they can only see that. So it's just a matter of training them. The binder clip keeps it so they can just flip it open to at least 2 choices, and then they can easily determine which page is next.
Mariah says that she's been doing morning meeting and her kids are doing great. However, her students are struggling with using a good speaking voice. How do you teach that?
That's just something that takes lots and lots of practice. And just lots of practice, talk about it. And I'm always like, hey, I can't hear you. And I always do this to them. And so they know to speak up. So just, and have somebody who has a good speaking voice, have them model and say, okay, everybody, we're going to listen to Xavier and he's going to do the greeting. And then we're going to try to do the same thing. And like this morning, we're doing our say your name greeting. And so say your name. And when you do, we will say it back to you. And somebody says their name and we all say good morning and say their name. And so I've got a couple who are like, well, nobody can hear you. And so like this morning, I made a big deal about it. I'm like, okay, Julia, when it's your turn, you're going to be as loud as you can. And I even I'm miming. I'm like, Julia. And so that's really helped get some of those. Julia got really loud today, which was great. But just model it, make it fun, let them know it's okay to get loud. And again, it's just going to take some time to get them comfortable.
Elena says that she's loving morning meeting as well.
Yay.
Where do you get your ideas for greetings and activities? She says she's currently just getting those from you.
Pinterest, as always, has tons and tons of great ideas. Responsive Classroom website has great ones. You can get some morning meeting books on Amazon. I have my morning message bundle on TPT. But Pinterest.
And on the morning message bundle, aren't there like 400 and something different messages?
Different messages, yeah. But for greetings, just Responsive Classroom, Pinterest. And I'm always looking for new ones too, because I want to keep it new and fresh and exciting. And so, but I have several blog posts about different morning meeting greetings that you can check out. But I'm always looking for new ones too. So if you come across fun, different morning meeting greetings, please share those on the Kindergarten Smorgasbord Facebook page so that other people can see them and try them, and that I can see them and try them.
Elena says that her morning time journals are going well.
Good.
When do you have them write a sentence? November?
Just everybody's different. And so I don't set a timetable, and I don't set the expectation that by November everybody's writing a sentence. I let it kind of happen naturally. And usually what I see is that after we start Writers Workshop in September and start labeling, usually within a month or two, a lot of kids are putting down words. And then usually after Christmas, start to see a lot more sentences. But every kid is different, and so that's not something that I have an expectation for.
Just in case anyone's not in the chat and noticing this, Laura says that Dr. Jean has some great morning greeting ideas.
Okay.
She has a set of cards that you can copy.
Perfect.
And she keeps hers in a binder ring and hang it near their whole group area.
Very good idea.
Julia
Check
said
it out.
They did the French fries one today, and they were all laughing so hard.
And so many of those, I look for some that are fun and silly and goofy, but also want them to be simple and manageable. And so the French fry greeting, instead of saying good morning to each other, we just turn to the person next to us and say, French fries. And so this morning, if that's what we were doing and Julia was next to me, I would have said, French fries, Julia, and that would have been the greeting.
Marissa wants to know if you have a lot of parental support and involvement, and if not, how do you encourage it?
I have a lot of parent support, as in far as, you know, the parents have shown up. They've brought in tons and tons and tons of supplies. So many supplies that I have nowhere to put them. And very supportive of how things go in our classroom. I see a lot of the parents every day, and they're very appreciative of what I do. But you know, they're helping their kids. They're asking what they can do at home. But as far as like in the classroom and doing stuff in the classroom, I don't have any parent support. That's not to say that if I ask for some, I might get a couple of parents who come in. And it's just a matter of constantly giving them the opportunity and different opportunities to help and be a part of the classroom.
Cupcake Pilots, I love that username, wants to know if you have a literacy
cupcakes
curriculum series. What would you recommend for someone who does not have a set curriculum for ELA?
We have journeys in our district, but we are not required to use it. It's considered a resource. And so I have it resourced out of the classroom. So I would recommend just, like in our district, we have pacing guides and a scope and sequence. And so that's what I follow. So I don't follow journeys. I follow the scope and sequence that our district puts out, which basically tells me what standards I need to cover every 9 weeks and what standards I need to assess every 9 weeks. And then I build all of my teaching and instruction around that scope and sequence, not around a curriculum. And so I'm always looking for ideas and techniques and strategies and activities to meet the standards. And so I'm just kind of building my own collection of ideas and stuff to create my own curriculum using that scope and sequence from my district.
Everybody loves that you've resourced them out of the classroom. Last question before we do our giveaway.
Woo!
It's from Beth. Do you use the daily 5 format in your room?
I don't. And several years ago, our district made a push for us to do that. And so I set it up and I did it for a year. And it just didn't work for me, and it didn't work for what I wanted my kids to do. So kind of what I do now is somewhat of a modified version of the daily 5, like read to self, listening. Those are daily 5 type things. But I know it works great in some classrooms, and I know some people love it. I tried it. I didn't like it. It didn't work for my kids. And so that's kind of why I modified it and how we came to the center wheel that we use now.
All right. We ready to do the giveaway?
Let's do some giveaways.
Which one want to do first? Want to do ESGI
Yeah, let's
first?
do ESGI first.
Okay. So keep in mind, even if you don't win, you are still a winner because you can go to the ESGI website, sign up using the code Smorgie. Not only does that get you 60 days free and give you $40 off if you decide to purchase, it also enters you into a drawing for a $50 gift card from Teachers Pay Teachers.
Right.
So you need to get over and get signed up for that right away.
Yeah.
I forgot when that ends.
Melinda's in the chat, so she can tell us. But yeah, definitely get signed up. Like I said, I've used ESGI for several years now, and I swear by it. I have a picture that my student teacher took of me today. I'm going to post it on Instagram and Facebook here in a second. But I was sitting back in my chair with my kids, had my iPad out assessing their letters and sounds, and was done in no time. And it makes assessment and data collection so easy. It cuts down on time and work and paper. It makes parent communication easier. So definitely head over to esgisoftware.com, sign up for the 60-day free trial, use that code Smorgie, SMORGIE, sign up for your 60-day free trial. It'll save you $40 off the price, and you get entered to win a $50 Teachers Pay Teachers gift card. And who doesn't want one of those? I want one. Can I win?
So there's 10, Melinda just put it in the chat. It's a $50 TPT giveaway. There are 10 gift cards, and it ends September 30th.
Oh, so you've got lots of time to get entered. So go ahead and get signed up.
Yep. So you have to be sure to use the code Smorgie in order to enter that giveaway. That's with an IE, SMORGIE.
And we also have we have a YouTube video up, or it'll be posted tomorrow, explaining how I use ESGI, some of the features and what I love about it. So you can also check that out.
All right, so our winner tonight is, for 1 free year of ESGI, tonight's winner is Courtney Tucker Clemens.
Yay, Courtney!
Courtney, if you're here, let us know. Can you repeat the name again?
Courtney Tucker Clemens. Courtney, if you're here, let Jason know in the chat so that we can get you your free year of ESGI. So,
just waiting.
Courtney, are you here?
Courtney's here.
Yay, congratulations, Courtney. So Jason, we'll get in touch with Courtney and put you in touch with ESGI and get you all set up.
All right, so next is going to be our teacher emojis.
So 2 people are going to win a custom teacher emoji from Jen Hart Design. So she will, Jenny will get in touch with you and you'll fill out a Google form and then she will draw your teacher emoji. She did one for me as a mad scientist for Mad Science Friday. She's also done one of me, just regular me. She's done one of the Mr. They're totally adorable. They're super cute and fun. And so if you don't win, you definitely need to check out Jen Hart Design on Teachers Pay Teachers and get your own teacher emoji. And she also has amazing clip art. And she's my go-to clip art. Like, it's like clip art on demand. So like I send her a text and I'm like, I need dinosaurs, and I get dinosaur clip art.
I don't think that would happen for everyone. So she's that everyone needs to start emailing her saying, I want this.
Yes, everybody email Jenny and tell her what kind of clip art you want.
All right, so there's going to be 2 winners.
Yes, so 2 different winners.
The first one is Peggy Phillips.
Peggy Phillips, if you're in the chat, congratulations. You want a teacher emoji from Jen Hart Design.
Our second winner is Karen Bassing.
So Peggy Phillips and Karen Bassing. If you're in the chat, please say something to Jason in the chat so we can get your teacher emojis. So Peggy Phillips and
Karen Bassing.
Peggy Phillips and Karen Bassing. If you're in the chat, let Jason know.
Peggy's here.
Yay, Peggy! Congratulations. So we're waiting on Karen.
Karen Bassing.
Karen, are you here? You want a teacher emoji from Jen Hart Design. The dog is licking the carpet. I'm trying to get her to stop. She's ignoring me.
Peggy, I got you. So I'll be in touch. We'll send you an email and I will get you in touch with Jenny from Jen Hart Design and she'll get your teacher emoji to you. We're just waiting on Karen Bassing.
Karen, are you in the chat? Karen, if you're here, say something to Jason. Waiting on Karen.
Gonna give her about 10, 20 more seconds and we're gonna move on and pick another winner. Karen Bassing. While we're waiting for Karen for a couple minutes, Greg, tell them about the conference real quick.
All right, so coming up in October 29th, it's a Saturday here in Nashville. We're hosting our second kindergarten conference. A smorgasbord of teaching will be Saturday, October 29th. It's going to be me and my friend Debbie Clement from Rainbows Within Reach. So Debbie will kick off the day with her music and dancing and her picture books. They're phenomenal. Debbie is a great presenter. She's come to my school several times and performed for the kids. She's phenomenal. She'll get us up and energized and ready for the day. And then I'm going to be speaking and presenting about reading, math, and centers. And then we're going to do a make and take. So you actually will leave with a completed math center that you can take back to your classroom. It's $150. That includes your breakfast, your snack, and all of your materials and supplies for the make and take. We'll have lots of giveaways. ESGI will be there with giveaways. Alive Studios, who do Letters Alive, will be there giving away one of their $800 Letter Alive kits. Sit Spots will be there with giveaways. Lots of swag. We did the first one in June, and we had 200 teachers, and it was an amazing day of sharing and inspiration and collaborating and connections and networking and making friends, and just had a phenomenal time. So we would love to see everybody joining us in October 29th, a smorgasbord of learning. No, smorgasbord of teaching. Sorry. Smorgasbord of teaching. It's at the Music City Center in downtown here in Nashville. So you can go over to the blog, and on the right side, you're going to see a black image that says A Smorgasbord of Teaching. You can click on that. It says register now. You can download the brochure. Gives you all of the details and information for the conference, and you can get signed up. And right now we're running, we have a little contest going. Some of my friends got together and created a scholarship in my mom's memory. And so anybody who registers between now and September 15th gets entered to have, you basically get your registration money back, so you get to attend for free. And so if you've already registered for the conference, you're entered into the drawing. And anybody who registers between now and September 15th will be entered for the opportunity to win the Debbie Smedley Memorial Scholarship.
So to keep in mind about that, the way that's going to work is if you pay, you're going to be refunded your entire amount.
If you win.
I'm sorry, if you win, you're going to be refunded your entire amount. So if you go on, you go ahead and you pay. That's the way it's going to work. You're going to pay for your registration fee. You're going to get registered. You're going to be ready to go, and then we're going to pick a random winner to get their registration fee refunded to them. You don't have to do anything special. You just go on to the registration site, register, and you're automatically entered for that drawing.
So once you register and pay for your ticket to the conference, you're entered into that drawing.
All right, so Karen has still not answered, so we're going to move on. Our next winner is Courtney Cackley, K-A-C-K-L-E-Y. Are you here?
Courtney Cackley, are you here? You're now the winner of a teacher emoji from Jen Hart Design. Courtney, if you're here, say something to Jason in the chat.
Christy's coming to see us from Maryland.
Yay, Christy! Yay!
We have people, every time we start talking about that, people start asking where you're going to be and wanting us to come there. You can go to the blog now, click on Schedule Me, and you're going to see everywhere that Greg's going to be that are open conferences. So just go to the blog, click on Schedule Me, and you're going to see where he's going to be. He's actually going to be in Texas a couple of times.
2 or 3 times.
For Kindergarten Teachers of Texas, and then again for SDE.
Yeah, so
Courtney's here.
Yay, congratulations, Courtney.
There was another question someone had a second ago as well. Hold on 1 second. So Courtney, again, we'll be in touch with you. I'll get you in touch with Jen Hart Design to get your prize to you. Congratulations.
Butter says hello, everybody.
Oh, when is the next one going to be? It's always the third Wednesday of every month. Our submissions live is the third Wednesday of every month. This month it was off a little bit because we had a concert that we had paid a lot of money for several months ago. We didn't realize it fell on the third Wednesday, so that was the reason we had to skip last week.
I'm looking up the date right now.
But just keep in mind, it's the third Wednesday of every month, right here on YouTube. We'll always post the links all over Facebook, on the blog, Twitter, Instagram.
So the next one will be September 21st. So September 21st, and we're gonna also start setting the time. It's gonna always be at 9 Eastern, 8 Central.
So it's a little different than what it is this week. It's going to be the same time, the same day, same week, every month going forward, so that there's no confusion with time or date.
So the third Wednesday of every month at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, we'll do submissions for Smorgie Live. So the next one will be September 21st, which just happens to be the day before my birthday. So we'll have a party.
I'm looking to see if there's any questions that we didn't get answered. I think we got almost all of them answered tonight for our normal lightning round. Let me see. No, I really think we got them all.
Awesome. Look at us. We were good tonight.
Yeah, cool. People can't find I see a couple people have asked about where to find the Dr. Jean morning greetings. We don't know.
I'll see if I can find them, and if I find them, I'll post the link on Facebook.
Laura says to try Dr. Jean's blog at drjean.org. Maybe that would be a good way to find it.
If somebody finds them and you want to share it on the Kindergarten Smorgasbord page, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you're interested in coming to our conference, you can get more information on the blog. We would love to have you. It'll be a lot of fun. Mark your calendars for September 21st for the next submissions for Smorgie Live. I always get a lot of questions about visiting my classroom. Our door is always open. If you would like to come and observe and visit my classroom, just send us an email and we can make that happen. Let's see, anything else? As always, follow us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. We're always doing live videos and blog posts and sharing ideas and activities and freebies. So make sure you're following us on social media. And as always, I always want to end with happy classrooms. And I think it's even more important now that we're into the back to school season and everybody's back to school or gearing up for back to school. And I think it's important that we are telling our stories. And I saw a friend of ours was in line at Walmart recently, and a person paid for their school supplies. And I got talking to the mister about how people don't understand that schools don't provide all of our supplies and that we have to go out and purchase those things. And those are the stories, not that we want to go tell everybody, hey, we bought all of the stuff for our classrooms, but those are the things that we need to be telling. We as teachers need to be telling our stories because nobody knows our story. What the story that we hear on the news, and I heard it on NPR today, is that schools are failing our kids and that teachers are horrible and we're not doing our job. And we know that that's not true. We know that in our classrooms every day, our kids are doing amazing things. And I know that if you're sitting here watching me and you're watching this later on YouTube, you're doing amazing things in your classroom. Nobody knows those stories. And so we need to start telling our story and the true story of what's happening in our classrooms. And so the way we can do that is with the power of social media. We're all using social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And so we need to use that power and to find our voice as teachers and start telling our story. So my challenge to each of you is to start posting one positive thing from your classroom every day. Use the hashtag Happy Classrooms. And then we start to control the conversation. We start to tell our story, and we start to change the perception of schools and teachers. And people start to understand that our kids are doing incredible things every single day, and teachers are doing incredible things every single day. In spite of anything that's put in front of us, even if it means no toilets for 2 days, we show up, we work our butts off, and we teach our kids. Our kids show up, they take risks, they meet the challenges and expectations that we set for them, and they learn and they grow, and they succeed and they're successful. And that's what we need to be letting our communities and our country and our world know. And so please, this year, every day, post on social media, use the hashtag Happy Classrooms, and let's start telling our story, and let's start letting our communities know the amazing things that are happening in our schools every single day. Not only that, but I also want you to spread the word about Happy Classrooms. Tell your school, tell your districts, tell your friends. The more people we have using that hashtag, the bigger our voice becomes. And so I looked just before I sat down here earlier, we're almost to 18,000 Happy Classrooms posts on Instagram, which is phenomenal. But let's double that or triple that or quadruple that this year. And let's do it on Twitter and let's do it on Facebook. And let's really start telling the amazing story of what's happening in our classrooms every single day. Because you're doing incredible things. Your kids are doing incredible things. Your schools are doing incredible things. And so we need to start letting the world know that. And people need to start hearing our stories. So please start telling your story. Use the hashtag Happy Classrooms. Take care of each other. Teaching is the hardest job in the world. So we need to support each other and love each other and lift each other up every single day and be that shining light in your school of positivity and support, and always have a kind word for somebody, always give somebody a smile. We're all in this together, and we're all in this for one reason and one reason only, and it's the kids. It's all about the kids and taking care of them and giving them the best experience that we can every day. So please take care of each other, support each other, and lift each other up. And I hope that you continue to have an amazing school year. And I'm excited to see all of the amazing things that happen in your classrooms every single day. And I'm looking forward to all of your Happy Classrooms posts. And as always, if you need anything, we're always here. You can email us, find us on social media, reach out if there's anything we can do, if you have questions. And I hope that everybody has a fantastic night, and we will see you all again on September 21st. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Have a good night.